back to Humanizing Moms, Season 2. Today we are talking to Candice.
Hi. So because you watch all of our videos and like them all and share them all, you've seen Candice before. We did our Dream Quest in October with Candice, and she is a coworker and a friend of mine, and she's going to talk to us today about her journey of motherhood. You can start at the beginning if you want to.
Okay, well, I was married very early, 21, and got pregnant with Trip at 23, had him at 24, and now he's 8 years old.
That's some good math.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't, I mean, he was planned but not planned. We had tried for a while, and nothing happened, so we quit trying, and then pretty sure he was conceived on Christmas Eve. Yep, and then I had him the following September. He's wonderful. He's the love of my life. He makes me laugh. I mean, you've met him. He's
a mess.
He's hilarious.
He's my new best friend.
They have so much in common. It's a joke. The two weirdos. But, they, he's very well-rounded, and I don't know. He's the love of my life.
So, can you talk to us about young pregnancy, actually? Because we were older. Not old.
Almost old.
We were under 30.
Barely.
It's not important. We were under 30.
I turned 30 right after Oliver was born.
Me too, a few months later. But
yeah, it was. I was definitely the first of my friends, the core friends, to have a baby, and it never really was an issue, to be honest with you, up until like now it's kind of weird because all of my friends have younger kids, and I have an 8-year-old. Right. But I'm past all the diapers and potty training and all the hard stuff. So I'm so glad I have time back to myself, because you guys don't have any time for yourself at all.
Right.
It was wonderful because I gave up the young 20s life, partying with friends and being able to go and do trips and all that for a marriage and a baby. But it was 100%, I wouldn't do it over. I mean, I wouldn't do it any different. It was it worked for us.
Was your pregnancy easy?
No, my pregnancy was horrible. I gained 75 pounds, and that it definitely does not come off as easy as it went on.
No,
and it wasn't his fault. I just had this mentality that I was pregnant and I could eat whatever I wanted to eat.
You were eating for two?
I would say the baby's hungry,
Right.
I was really sick the first trimester, and a little bit into the second, and so whenever I wasn't sick anymore, I just made up for it and just went nuts and ate way too much food. My delivery, as you know, I'm a football coach's wife, so having a baby due in September was kind of a taboo. And
he wasn't born on a Friday night, was he?
Okay, so we're getting there.
Oh,
I changed the last month. You have to go every week. At the end, and it was changed it to Thursdays. So in the event that we would kind of have, if I had already started dilating, that we would have it's going to be any day or what have you.
Yeah.
So I had 3 weeks left, and that Thursday I went in, and he was over 8 pounds at 3 weeks left to my due date. So the doctor was like, we need to do this, because you're not going to be able to have him, naturally if we don't go ahead and take him. So he wanted to check me into the hospital on Friday afternoon. football game, home
15.
football game, and so because we couldn't mess up the doctor's schedule. He was working that weekend, so if we did it
Right, it would have been somebody else.
missed. It would have been somebody
Yeah.
else. Like it would be
Yeah.
awful, for everybody involved. So I literally Gary takes me to the hospital and checks me in. And leaves and goes and coaches a football game as I'm in the hospital. They hadn't started the Pitocin or anything
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
They were starting that the next morning.
Oh, okay.
So I listened to the game on the radio and sat there with my pregnant self all by myself. And the funniest little thing though was we never discussed, weight gain. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure he could tell that I gained 75 pounds. Like that's not, 5 pounds.
Sure.
It's kind of a big, amount.
Yeah.
But the day before that Thursday, I had, they weighed me at the doctor, and so whenever they checked me at the hospital on Friday, she was like, I'm not going to make you get on the scales, and because you're breathing heavy anyways, you're breathing like 600 pounds.
No matter what,
no matter what,
so
you can't breathe.
That's
your feet
true.
are swollen, like it's awful. And she was like, I'm not going to make you, get on the scales or anything.
Yeah.
Because you were just at the doctor. How much do you weigh? And I said 245. Just kind of like in my husband's eyes, y'all. I swear.
Because he didn't know.
He didn't know. I mean,
He probably just isn't even thinking about.
Guys don't, and even still, I'm so tall that he never knew how much I weighed. It wasn't something we talked about, nor did I want him to ask me how much I weighed.
Right.
How much do you weigh? Like, so that was a little tidbit of funny was the, holy cow. Literally, holy cow, like, wow. It was funny. It was funny. And so, I mean, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, so we start the Pitocin, or what is this stuff? What is it called? Cervidil. Yes. So they send me with this, I swear, the midget arms.
You didn't have to get Cervidil, right?
I don't know what that is.
So no, it's an insert.
Yes.
It's
awful. It looks like a tampon, right? Yep.
It was awful.
That's Cervidil.
I had that.
You did have that. Okay.
So this lady, I swear, y'all, her fingers were like this long. And as you know, you have to get up in there, to put it on the cervix. So I felt like her arm was going to come out my mouth. It was awful. It was so bad.
Oh,
so she does at 5 o'clock in the morning, they wake up and, did that. And then nothing happened. Really didn't help anything. So they started the Pitocin.
Yep.
And immediately, my contractions started pretty much immediately.
So you didn't have any contractions up to that point?
No, because he wanted to induce, given the size.
So it didn't have anything to do with what you were feeling?
No, exactly.
Right, I gotcha.
So it was literally forcing, it was forcing labor, which I'm glad he did, because I feel for women that have C-sections. That's a awful thing to did you have a C-section?
I had a C-section.
I mean, because I was up and walking.
Sure.
Like the next morning. I mean,
I was too, actually.
And it wasn't painful.
Well,
Melinda's
circumstances is not the norm.
Very different. I didn't go through labor and have an emergency C-section.
It's different.
It
was planned.
It was planned the day before, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, they did what they did and induced, especially with the scarring and messing up like your stomach muscles and all that, I mean, that's
it's totally
horrible.
different. It's a surgery. It's a major surgery.
It definitely is. And so I will take the Cervidil with the lady with the short arms all day long. But she,
oh man.
So I, was in labor. At some point they broke my water. I don't really remember because it was so, painful. Mm-hmm. And I waited a while. I wanted to wait until I was, 4 or 5 centimeters before they gave me the epidural. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, it started at 5 a.m. and I had him at 9:38 p.m. that night.
That's not a bad labor. That was.
I mean, it
from what I hear,
right?
Like time wise, that's not a bad timeline for people who have not showing that they're ready, and then they're
as far as being induced,
right? As far as being induced like that, that's
it. It was painful towards the end because of the time. Your epidural only lasts a certain amount. It doesn't, last. And so it had played its part.
And there's also like a time of when they can give you more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I
And
wasn't
before
there
it's
yet.
too late.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it Gary kept looking at me, press the button, because I'm screaming. I'm like, I am pressing the button, and nothing's happening. So but it really is true. I remember the pain. I remember that it was awful, but it was a pain that I've never felt before.
Sure.
So it wasn't. I guess now it's probably different for you because yours has been so recent. But with mine being 8 years ago, I remember it was bad, but it wasn't. There's nothing I can compare it to, or like, and it really was worth it. Like, because once I stopped pushing, it was over. It wasn't.
That is the craziest shit. And that same thing happened to me because my epidurals and stuff didn't work. So I was in a lot of pain, and it was so crazy when he was out. I was 100% fine. It was literally this moment of like, oh, okay, well I guess we're done.
Right,
It's just
right.
like this instantaneous like done.
Right.
It was crazy.
It was it's kind of like when you really have to use the bathroom.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean.
That's a good comparison.
Like, yeah, like when you hadn't gone in a few days and it's bad, and then you finally go and you're like, oh sweet Jesus. Like it's over.
All of that pressure and pain
is just
in the process of getting
it's
birth
released.
is gone. Yeah.
And
it's like your body just knows, okay, we're done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
I was
it's
up
weird.
walking around. I had him at 9:38. He had and apparently it's like a side effect of the epidural with when it towards the end, the body temperature rises when you're starting to come off of it, and because of that, Tripp had a fever as well, so he couldn't spend the night with us. He had to go to the nursery, which made bigger problems because I wasn't able to breastfeeding first, which I'm sure that I wasn't successful in breastfeeding, and I wish that had been different.
Yeah.
That I would have been able to actually try his first feeding. So it wasn't his first time, and it took a while to latch, and my milk didn't come in, and it just wasn't for us. We tried.
Yeah.
But
that's all you can really do.
Yeah, my 8 pounds, 3 week early baby was my colostrum was not enough for him. So we quickly moved to formula after that. But
so was he over 8 pounds when he was born?
Yes, he was. He was right at 8 pounds, like 8.009 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't quite 8.1, but yes.
Right. Well, that was one of the reasons that they decided to go ahead and take Aria at 38.4, because 38.2, something like that, because she was 8.6 when she was born.
And so she would have been a huge shoe.
She would have, if we had gone full term, she would have been like.
She'd been 10 pound baby.
We know you had a 9.5 pound baby.
My daughter wouldn't try to take no baby that wasn't ready to come out yet.
Wait,
My daughter was like, nope. She's like, when we get a week past your due date, then we will plan on inducing. Until then, nope. And Oliver was almost 10 pounds.
Yeah. My plan was all natural. Like, I did the hypnobirthing and stuff. And preeclampsia had other plans for me.
Oh, wow.
And I can't be induced. Those hormones don't agree with my body.
Oh, my goodness.
So
C-section was it.
We were going naturally, or we were having a C-section. So I was really curious because sometimes they're like, we need to get this baby out because it's going to be a big baby, and then it's a 6 pound baby.
And then it's not, yeah.
There's always that like margin of error with how big they actually are.
Well, doctors are humans. They really
Well,
are.
and it's so much of it depends on when the baby was actually like conceived, and it's all a guess. I mean, just because your last period was on this date, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly when your baby was
conceived.
conceived.
Because you could have had a period.
Yeah, and then especially if it's like right after it, like I don't know. So it's very My doctor, not my OB, but my sonographer, my perinatal. My perinatal was actually really close. He knew Oliver was going to be big.
Yeah.
He just did. He knew.
We saw the specialist and the regular doctor. The specialist did all of the sonograms. We got to see her every month.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot. But they were like tracking it all along because the weeks were off when we first found out because I have a long cycle. And there were drugs involved. So, but then the legal kind. And then, so they tracked her all along. And they were right when we went on that Thursday. Yeah, we went on that Thursday or Friday, whatever day it was. They were like, well, she's at about 8.5 pounds right now. And she was born on that Wednesday, and she was 8.6.
Oh, wow.
So
they were spot on.
They were pretty close. Sometimes it's like that, sometimes it's not. So I was just really curious.
Yeah. No,
So were you working up to?
Yes, I
that
was
point?
selling insurance.
Okay.
And it was an office job,
Sure.
desk job. Bad swollen feet. I mean,
Yeah.
especially going through the summer, being pregnant
Oh,
and all that.
Yeah.
It was
Ugh.
awful, swollen feet. And I think it probably would have been better had I exercised a little bit more. But as I've stated before, you know, I just wanted to eat. Like I just wanted to eat.
That's a
So,
mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is.
So how long were you out from work after you had him?
6 weeks.
Okay,
Which, if I had it to do over again, financially, we would have made it work to where I could have, stayed home longer. Because now I look back and I'm like, how did I leave my baby?
It's not
at
easy.
6 weeks
It's
with,
not easy.
but I was so fortunate, and I had, an in-home daycare, which I told you about that. His first 2 years, he was with a lady in small town. She had a farm. He learned he was potty trained, peeing off the porch, hitting pine cones, and that was, he was digging up potatoes, and he was filthy every single day we picked him up. But I swear it had something to do with, they say that the dirt actually helps when you get it underneath your nails. It soaks into your bloodstream. And it helps with your immune system and vitamins that you get from the earth and all of that. So he really was not a sickly baby. I mean, we had ear infections, which those were bad up until about 2.5. But I'm glad that my doctor did not recommend tubes.
Okay.
Because
I couldn't remember what you said.
I think it's hit or miss, because a lot of doctors are like, yes,
quick
tubes.
to do tubes.
Quick to do tubes. And my best friend Tiffany, all 3 of her boys had them. Had tubes because that's what her doctor, that's what he believed in. But mine was, and he had several during that, time, because we moved a lot.
Yeah.
During that time, and they were, give it till 2. If it doesn't get better at 2, then we'll go from there. And I'm so glad I didn't, because Tiffany still, all 3 of her boys had ear infections still. Even after the tubes.
That
so it really
sometimes.
didn't, and help that much. No. And he eventually outgrew it. So,
that's good. And sometimes it's also, I had tubes, but I was 18 months when I got them, because ear infection would go away, and then within a couple of days I had another one.
That's what was
the
happening.
antibiotics wasn't working.
And that's what happened with Dawn's boys too, and they both had tubes. One of them still does.
Yeah.
But they had to have them because
it just wouldn't go away.
It wouldn't, no matter what they did. Theirs weren't that close together, but literally it was sometimes more than one a month.
So apparently ear infections can be contagious. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
But I was around the same, my mom, I would get better, and then my mom would send me back to childcare, and then I'd get another ear infection. I wasn't getting colds, I wasn't getting sinus infections, I was getting ear infections.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but he grew out of it by 2.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
Yeah, he grew out of
That's
it,
good.
and we had 1 or 2 when he got a cold, or like you said,
that's different though. They're not
it's
all the time, and
yeah, no, it like I said, he was incredibly healthy and not anything to that effect. There wasn't a big deal. Us moms, we just kind of roll with it.
Some of us, it's hard, depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Oliver hasn't really been sick, so I haven't had to, thankfully, although when he does get sick, I'm probably gonna freak out because I haven't had to deal with it before.
Oh, when he gets sick.
Yeah.
If he gets sick.
Sick.
Which I told you about the first time, he gets the stomach virus.
Yeah.
That
my
was
gosh.
the worst. Oh my gosh. When your little baby has a stomach virus, and there's.
How old was he when he got his first stomach virus?
Man, I don't know. Well, I mean, because like I said, he was in daycare at 6 weeks. So I mean, he was. I guess I'm just all the viruses, knowing it was a virus, dealing with it more. I feel like you are better prepared for it. You know what I mean?
I would agree.
You kind of get better at it, and I know it works, and how to kick it really quick and keep him hydrated. Because what color Gatorade does he like?
Sure.
Yeah. When do you ever give your kid Gatorade? You haven't yet.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like those are
Not
just
really.
things like
Yeah.
that, that you, when your kid's in daycare and exposed to,
All
all that stuff,
Yeah.
you just become better at, coping at it. He's had tons of stomach viruses. I mean, because that's like kids, I don't know if they lick each other or
What
like
happened?
what they're doing. And it's like, one of them gets it and it's like pretty soon the whole
Everybody
class
has
is
it.
pooping their pants. I mean,
That's
it's awful.
okay. Real talk though, I asked last week at Aria's teacher, I was like, "You have any stomach viruses or anything going around in school?" Because I had to pick her up. Her stomach got upset like so randomly, and it was really just because she had too much candy. But I freaked out because last year, before the pandemic, we started the year out with an awful stomach virus. Rick had it here, and then all three of us got it at home, and it was awful. I am super susceptible to stomach viruses, and I can only imagine Aria probably is too. If your immune system's similar to your mom's
Yeah, I'm not.
immune system,
I don't get stomach.
You
things
don't.
ever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So hopefully Oliver's got that.
Yeah.
But
Rick's
I
not.
was, like,
Rick wasn't really impacted by
horrified.
it either. He just had like.
yeah, his was not as bad as
no,
ours.
No, he doesn't get affected by like
No.
anything. Yeah.
Which is why it was weird, like when it happened, because it doesn't happen very often. But like that was definitely terrifying because she had never had anything like that. So I totally like feel that still very raw.
Right, because there's
What
nothing
that's
you
like.
can do.
No, it has to run its course.
It has to run its course,
course.
and there's not
That's
anything, you can medicate it, but at the end of the day, the best medicine is being with mommy.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
there's no substitute for that.
And with infants, it takes longer to run its course because
Yeah.
like they start with the vomiting and then they have the diarrhea after that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have it together, but when they're real little like that, like
Mm-hmm.
it just lasts longer.
It does, and they're still not verbally, what they're not able to really tell you,
No.
what's wrong. They just know that they don't feel good.
Yeah.
There's not, I hurt mommy. They can't really be
Yeah.
specific on
For
those
sure.
symptoms. So
And when he was that little, was that some of the times that y'all had? That was when y'all still had to move and stuff, right? Like
Yes.
you still moved around a lot. when he was
we
little?
we did. Well, we were in the same place until shortly before his second birthday, and then we moved somewhere for to Darien. My husband was a head coach there, and we moved there for not quite a year, and then we moved in with my mommy for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, mother.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do, mothers? I mean, just moms. You're never
Yeah.
too old to go home. And we moved in with mom for a few months to kind of figure out where our next step was going to be, and
Yeah.
where my husband would career wise, what was the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because coaches, as a coach's wife, you kind of put yourself more on the back burner for. When I got into it, I knew what I was getting into.
Right.
Sure.
Like that's just the life of it. It is what it is. And anyways, we moved in with mom for a little bit, and then we ended up moving to Valdosta,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived there for a little bit over a year,
Mm-hmm.
and then we moved to where did we move next? Let's see. Then we moved to St. Mary's.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yep. So South Georgia, very
Georgia.
south. Moved there, and then we moved to Brunswick. We were there for a year, and then we moved to Brunswick, and we were at Brunswick for 2 years, and then we moved up here. And I didn't count the moves before trip, but
That's just since he's been.
That's just since he's been, in
in the picture.
in the picture. So,
Yeah.
and in between the Valdosta and St. Mary's, we moved back to mom's for a few months. So we've bounced around a lot.
Is it just a coach thing where coaches get like traded to
It
different
is.
school districts, or
Yeah,
I mean, look,
like it's a really is a different world, and it's a wonderful one. Like most of the schools we've been involved in are the coaching. It's a family
Sure.
because we sit together on Friday nights
Mhm.
and do the after after game things and
Yeah.
and all that. So I feel like I struggled with that when Trip was really little about how he would adjust
Yeah.
to having moved around so much
Yeah.
because he's been at so many daycares and then to so many different pediatricians and what is that going to do for him long term? But y'all, I gotta say, kids are resilient.
Yeah.
I mean, they honestly are. So that's my only, that's one thing that I could definitely share that, for moms going through something like where their husband has to move or whether it be you be the mom.
Something,
Yeah.
You have to do what's best for you because when you're happy,
your
kids are happy and they feed off of you and they realize that.
That's true.
And Trips never wanted or, needed for anything. And we just give him love. We're moving and I hate that you have to leave your friends, but Mommy and Daddy love you.
Right.
Like, we love you.
Right.
But, and he doesn't seem to be, he can walk into a room and, hey, like, what's up? Like, he has because he's used to making friends.
Yeah.
So it's not the kids that don't,
there's not like that social anxiety.
not at all. He
Yeah.
has zero social anxiety.
Yeah. I know when he met Henry, our boss's kid, he was just like, hey, like he just was like, and sometimes kids don't, that's not like a thing. Like some kids are just like,
Well,
like,
and we're probably familiar with kids that are like that because we grew up in a military town. I don't know how many military kids you were near Fort Gordon.
yeah,
but
the kind of schools I went to, military kids still go to those schools.
I went to school with several military kids, and there are some of them that were very much like, hello.
Melinda's county had more money than mine, so that's where the military kids were.
Or they went on base, but
Yeah, which wouldn't,
but like there are some military kids because they move around a lot. Some of them are very well rounded, like Trip, where they're like make friends everywhere, and
they
then
just
other
get
ones
used to it, and others are like they're so used to it that they don't want to
they don't
involve. They don't
get
want to invest.
attached.
They don't want to
They don't want to invest.
So did he ever show like frustrations with moving, like sleeping habits being interrupted or anything, like when you go to a new place?
The sleep, and that's another thing that that I guess that would be a negative. That was a good point to bring up.
Yeah.
I mean, up until maybe a year and a half ago, and I'm stretching year and a half, he would not spend a night in his bed. So he's always, we have always had the family sleeping situation. And he's 100 pounds now and still thinks he's 40 pounds and wants to sleep with us. So, on Friday or Saturday nights, it's like family movie night, and so that's his cue that he gets to sleep in our bed.
He can have that moment.
Do you at least have a king bed?
I do. There's no way that we could off on a queen.
Candice's husband is massive.
Yeah,
I've takes up a lot of space.
So like you've had a king bed for a while.
There's no way. Yeah.
But that is something that did the moving did, because he never had, like, when he was little, he never had like his room to get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And then we started bad. Don't do as I did and put your kids in their crib. Okay, put your babies in the crib, because you'll be in my situation. Have a 100-pound 8-year-old that wants to snuggle.
Well, didn't Kelly say that her that's our boss? Didn't she say that like that she did that with theirs, and they still, once they got into like the big kid beds, it was like Mommy and Daddy's bed, like
That's
so
right.
it's like does change, but it really just depends on the kids too. Like we co-slept for a couple months, but Oliver just is happier sleeping in his bed. But that's not anything we did. That's sheer luck. That is sheer luck that he doesn't want to be in our bed. Like, and but anyway.
We have the late co-sleeping, and now she gets up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I'm just gonna squeeze in here.
I would be fine with that if it meant I got more sleep.
Well,
I really would. If Oliver got up at 5 a.m. and got in bed with me for 2 hours, I'd be fine with that.
Right.
If it meant more sleep.
It's true.
He's doing much better though. I mean, he's consistently, with the exception of Friday and Saturday nights, because that's his, family movie night.
These are hangout times. It's different.
Together,
So you're not on your normal, you're on a weekend routine instead of a week routine.
Right.
Right. No, that's fair. So we're actually going to stop there for episode 1 of Candice's story. Make sure you come back in the next video to see part 2, the rest of her journey through motherhood. And then, the stuff Melinda says. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on social media, the bell, Facebook, Twitter. What's the other one?
Instagram.
Hashtag, or at Mom Sleeping. See you next time. Bye.